Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about the Valentine's update. Now the reason I didn't talk about this as soon as it came out is because I wanted to play the update for a couple days, see how I felt about it after I played it a couple times after a couple run-throughs. And now I think I formulated a pretty good opinion on it, my overall thoughts on it. And basically what I want to say is I think the update is both good and bad, and for their separate reasons. I think the update itself in terms of content is pretty bad, but I think what the update brought is actually pretty good. But before we get into the reasoning, if you guys can hit that like and subscribe button, that'd be greatly appreciated. And let's get into it. So the reason why I say it's both good and bad is because let's start off with the bad. The bad part about the update is the content of it. I don't think this was a 2-month long wait worth of an update. Now granted, Valentine's Day is 2 months away from Christmas, so they really couldn't do much with that. Like, it's literally 2 months away. But I don't think for waiting 2 months, this is the content. This is the right amount of content. Now the content itself is pretty fun. This is why I wanted to wait a little bit. I wanted to play it, see how I feel about it after playing it over and over again over a couple of days. And I'm still having fun with the new dungeon, which is why I think it's also a good update. Like, I'm actually having a lot of fun with this new dungeon system. And that's mainly because of the boss, the final boss, the Cupid boss. I really enjoy the Cupid boss. I think they did a fantastic job making it. I wish there's more bosses like this where there's a second phase. I know it kind of has a second phase, because once you get him to half health, that's when he starts doing his ultimate. But I think this second phase is a much better way to do it, a much more interesting way to do it, and I hope they continue to do this with their bosses. Granted, the dungeon itself, like I said, even though I'm having fun with it, the beginning stages, like the first 7 waves, really aren't that interesting, especially the first 6. They're kind of just basic NPCs. Actually, I'm gonna say like maybe the first 4 or 5 actually, when it's just regular dungeon NPCs. But after that, it turns into Valentine's Day guards, which is actually pretty fun. I actually like fighting them. They're actually quite a challenge. If you don't have a fruit, that's even more challenging. I will say, if you're fruitless, then this dungeon is pretty difficult. Like, it's actually a hard dungeon to do fruitless. But if you have a fruit, it's very easy to do, especially if Magu, Pika, and Mara. It is a brainlessly easy to do. But the boss, like I said before, it's still not easy even with the fruit. Maybe Mara, because you can just fly up and spam your moves, and Pika, because you can use your light ray. But once it gets in the second phase and she starts teleporting, it's hard even for people with fruits. This is why I really enjoy the boss. Like, it's not easy even if you have a fruit. But overall, like I said, the content itself really isn't that interesting. It only brought in a couple outfits, 2 new weapons, and a new fruit, which sounds like a lot on paper, but in reality it really isn't. The 2 new weapons really aren't that interesting to me, especially the wand kind of is, but the axe is not interesting at all. It just kind of reminds me of like a reworked trident. That's all it really reminds me of. And the wand is kind of unique because it has a heal and a strike move, but once again, it's not that interesting to me. I'm not really too keen on weapons that much anymore. And the new fruit, Ito, that's interesting. That is always going to be interesting. The new fruits bring new gameplay variety, new PvP metas. So I'm always happy to see a new fruit. Granted, it is only 1, but I'll take anything at this point, really. Now I want to get into like the good part of the update, and what I mean by the good part is what the update actually brought. And the update brought a new dungeon, a new style of dungeon, and a new way to get a fruit, which is the new dungeon. This is really good for the future because this means that they don't have to stick to one thing. They don't have to stick to one method of getting fruits, or the same methods that are already in the game, which is just like everybody knows by now: dungeons, ship farming, CBs farming, kraken farming. All these methods that are getting repetitive. At least now this is like a new style of way to get a fruit, and it's interesting. They can add different mini bosses, because right now the boss before the final boss is just a Mara boss, which really isn't that interesting. He's still fun. He's still a fun boss. It's always fun to fight a boss, but it's still not that, interesting. They can add other bosses with other fruits as mini bosses if they continue on this concept, which I hope they do. I really hope in the future updates they continue this dungeon style, expand on it, give it more bosses, maybe have one dungeon be just straight bosses and it has a higher chance of dropping rares and legendaries, things like that. I also hope they introduce new ways to get fruits as well. I hope they continue to add different methods and different game modes to get fruits other than just dungeons. But overall, I think this update was pretty good. Now, there were a couple changes in the update that I want to briefly cover, which is fruit nerfs and the GPO change. Now, the GPO change is a complete game changer, honestly. I don't know what they were thinking making this as a normal change. I don't know who greenlit this. This is, in my opinion, this is completely broken. Having Fishman and Mink and 2SS and all these fighting styles have Geppo just sounds ridiculous to me. It's not fully developed yet. The update's only been out for 2 days, so we have to wait and see how broken it truly is. But already people are just saying Fishman and Geppo is just automatically broken, which it is, because Fishman, I'm pretty sure, has the highest scaling M1 damage out of all the fighting styles. Like, I think you only need like 370 or 80 to get like 60 M1 damage. So it's completely ridiculous. But overall, I think that change is okay, because, for example, fighting styles like Electro and 1SS, I think they really needed a Geppo type move. So since just giving them straight up Geppo is like basically the ultimate replacement, but I do think they need to tone it down a bit, maybe like go with the original idea that they had, because the original idea that they posted was just giving fighting styles double jumps, which is what I think they should have done, in my opinion. I don't think they should have gave them full-on Geppo, like maybe in the PvE mode, but definitely not in PvP. I think they should just gave it a double jump. Once again, we'll just have to wait and see how truly broken it really is. And also, they did a couple buffs. They buffed Ice Bike, which is strange. I truly don't understand why they buffed that move. And they buffed Suna, which is good. They buffed its ult. I'm pretty sure they just buffed it to Ito's Birdcage. They probably just made it about, equal damage. Because I'm pretty sure Birdcage does more base damage. At least, well, more base damage than pre-buff Suna. But overall, like I said, this update is interesting to me. It is very fun. It is, I would say that it is definitely one of the more fun events I've played. I didn't really have that much fun with the Christmas update. I really didn't even play it that much. I did it like 1 or 2 times and I got bored immediately. And the Halloween update, I definitely say it's better than that one. The Halloween update was fun at the beginning because it was a brand new concept, a new way to summon bosses, but it got repetitive and boring after a while. This one, I don't see myself getting bored of it for a while, since the dungeon mixes up like normal dungeons. The NPCs change. Sometimes you get Sky Bazookas, sometimes you get 1SS users. It's different ways. That's also keeps it interesting. So like I said, I hope they continue on this concept, make it more changing, make the NPCs change, things like that, random things. As long as they keep you on your toes, I think that's all that it really needs to do. Just keep it different and not just repetitive. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm pretty sure they can do multiple of these dungeons. If there's like 3 of these type of dungeons in the game, I think it would be perfect. With regular dungeons and these dungeons, it would just be like so much different variety and different play styles that if you get bored of one, you can go to the other. You get bored of this one, you go to the other, and you can just do the main mode ways to get fruits. Overall, what the update brought to the game, the potential it brought to the game, is amazing. It is really good for the game, but I think the update itself, what it actually, like the content wise, I don't think it was really that great. Also, there's some news for update 5 that I'll be discussing in a different video, because there's some major news coming for GPO, so I will make a separate video on that. But yeah, that's my opinions on the Valentine's update. If you guys did enjoy this video, once again, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. That'd be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you guys next time.